See how he copes with it. We're out of pattern, and he's come to the training environment without it. So for me, this is a win-win situation. He either says, yes, I can cope, or no, I can't, or I need to express myself. So if he needs to do any of those things, that's fine.
Yes, it does look really good. His ribs are much better covered now. He looks ready to go into it. Yeah.
Has he gained weight?
Yeah, he has. His ribs look far more covered and...
You know, he actually looks quite a bit more relaxed now than he did in the stable.
Yeah.
He was quite happy to be in work or to be socialising.
He likes being with people. He does. Yeah. He does like being put into but in the right way. Because he's done all this spinny ropes.
So with horses I've not worked with before, and I introduce equipment, and then I quietly ask him to take a step backwards.
A month or so ago.
Yeah.
Then I'm going to put him to work. So this is his open forum to speak now. There you go. It was a tiny, tiny little bit. We're in a 7-year-old horse that has been around a bit and done a bit. You would never dream there would be any kind of emotive response to the saddle at all. Only a tiny bit. This is what I think about as percentages. That is about a 5 to 10% chance that he's not accepting the saddle totally, because a lot of horses will tolerate them. If it fits well, doesn't hurt me, and I've got accustomed to it, I will tolerate it. But at some point when my emotions raise, or I'm in an environment where I have no control of the stimulus that's making me feel stressed, worried, anxious, or instinctive, that 10% now comes to the fore and will cause behaviour that you've not seen in a long time or are used to seeing. And this is where they go from 0 to hero. They go from a normal kind of everyday horse to a rodeo star, bronking, rearing, getting stressed, can't cope. And it's amazing how it happens with lots of horses in all environments, in all disciplines, at all levels. This is not just restricted to young horses. When we come out of pattern, that we bring the horse, saddle comes afterwards, 8 out of 10 horses that are being ridden are rideable will bronc. A little bit up to significant, as if it's the first time they've ever worn a saddle. Now, this allows the horse the chance to say his piece. Right, wrong, or indifferent. If you've got a problem with this, please say it now. Because I don't want you to do it when we get on. I don't want you to do it when you get stressed. So this allows that open forum of speak now or forever hold peace. And it becomes another training point of a win-win situation.
What do you think I
So we're actually, as we're working up and putting pressure on him, he's getting more and more calm. He's resting a hind leg.
Stop whining.
Quite calm. And I want to go through this period with all horses so that they accept the saddle, not tolerate. If you tolerate, it means something's going to go pop later on in life, and it can be years and years later. And it can only be once in a blue moon, and we say, oh, he only dumps me twice a year, but he's such a good lad, I can't put up with it. This is where we've got to say, no, we can't afford to put up with that. So this is him with his saddle on. And everything we're doing is quietly and slightly putting a little bit more pressure on him. And I just check that the controls are still there, because if they're still worried about the saddle or worried about anything I'm doing, I go back to the very first thing I got right, or the very first thing he started to become soft about, which is the backing up. And if he can still be soft with the saddle on, then with the rider on, then with equipment on, and all these things that we're going to build up on, it means his brain is staying receptive. If I put this saddle on him and I go to ask him to back up and he grows roots and strengthens his neck and kind of stiffens himself up, it means he's tolerating. We don't want tolerance, we want acceptance. So the ask now is fingertips. Subtle. And the other thing, there's another thing, softness. Softness and subtlety. When do we go about that one? We have to be blatantly obvious with horses. The reason we have to be blatantly obvious, because in a previous life they were all men. You girls are going to smile at this one. Because you've got to be obvious. You know, my wife says to me, wouldn't it be nice if the rubbish went out tonight? I'll go, yeah, it would, wouldn't it? Is that a question or a statement? I don't know. And if I come in and the hoover's still in the hall, I think, oh, bless her, she's had a hard day. She left the hoover out, I'll put it away. And it was left out as a hint for me to push it around. But don't hint, tell me and I'll do it. So this is where horses come from, male and female. Horses are all the same. They have that same kind of element. If you're very obvious, and I get the point, I will work on that. And then when it's obvious, we can become not so obvious, down to subtle, down to refinement, to fingertips. You know, we've got nearly 17 hands of horse here, and we can move them around with my little finger. There. So this is what we've got to do, is use groundwork that we can later on develop and stay soft in our rhythm. So remember, it goes obvious, not so obvious, subtle, then refined. If we go subtle and refined, it's not clear enough, and the horses go, I don't get it. And then when we go the other way to build up our obvious, they think they're being told off. So it's far nicer for them. Okay, it's going to be a bit lumpy and bumpy at first to be very obvious, then not so obvious, subtle and refined. If we start off too subtle, if I go too subtle, too soft and too quiet, excuse me, and then we go, are you listening? The everybody goes, oh Christ, where the hell did that come from? And that's what horses will do. So it's best to get down through your pattern of work that way. Well, do it any way you want, but I just find it helps with the horses that I get involved with. And now he's not so heady about things. You know, when I go and praise him before, it's like,
well, how to handle the husband.
Yeah.
If he doesn't want it, don't give it to him.
That's Sam's job.
Now I'm a bit crazy. I have to drop and say, oh, there it is. So that's introduction settled. Now, Donna, we're going to see if we can introduce him to long range this morning. Before he didn't want anything over his head. Stress brings about all sorts of amazing little complications in their mind. And I drop the rope behind him because I want to know that he can turn off his nose and move his quarters around and turn. Once you've got a lines on a horse and it's crashed through the Monarch fence and across the county, that is not the time to go, oh, my horse doesn't tolerate long lines. Too late. Hindsight's an exact science, and that is not the time to be saying.
That is exactly what.
So just to make sure, before we go and put anything on him or around him, this is again what we do with all the horses that come in or anything we have to work with, to be sure that sensation of having something above your hocks and under your tail isn't going to light you up like the 4th of July. That I can also get lateral flexion on you. So again, it's not about being harsh or forceful. He's created flexion, and I'll wait for him. It's not about pulling the horse around. It's about waiting for him to work out, well, next bend, how am I going to stop it being bent? It's as simple as that. He'll work out. So he'll stand there and ignore it for a little while. This is passive control. La 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 la. Not listening, not interested. Go away. But he's not. I'm comfortable. He's not.
There you go.
And that's where he's got to work it out. So now he's done what's asked. He's going, well, that seems to make perfect sense to give to it rather than to ignore it. Because if your horse ignores you, you're in a lot of trouble. Not all the time and every time, but once in a while, when you want your horse's attention, and you want to flex him, and he goes, no, I'm too busy being panicked and bolting right now.
No, I know. I turn when they do that.
So again, I ask my question, quietly, nicely, and I'm looking for a quiet response. And again, remembering that a horse is a creature of two sides. On one side, we have to show the other way. This is again where we can get caught out thinking that, oh, he's got it. He needs to experience it both ways.